5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Welcome back to the GHT Overland Podcast, where we visit with overland travelers and explorers around the globe, learning from their experiences, passing on their tips, and enjoying their stories from the road. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lisa. We're from Washougal in Washington State, known as the entrance to the Columbia River Gorge. Today's featured guests are Elise and Mercedes with the Free Range Dames. They will be competing in the Rebelle Rally, the first women's off-road navigation rally raid in the United States. A unique and demanding event using maps, compasses, headings, hidden checkpoints, and a road book to travel more than 2,000 kilometers through stunning terrain across Nevada and California desert.
That's amazing. Elise and Mercedes joined us live at the Northwest Overland Rally, so the audio is of the live nature. Let's jump into the interview where these amazing women introduce themselves to you.
My name is Elise, and I'm from Bozeman, Montana. And so I got my start in off-roading and overlanding through growing up camping. You know, I grew up camping, skiing, hiking, all that kind of stuff. And driving was just a way to get to where the adventure was. And it didn't take long after meeting my husband, Josh, where driving kind of became a big part of the adventure. And we got into the Overland Industry from there, and that's where I heard about the Rebelle Rally and got really interested in doing it.
So my name is Mercedes, and I am living right now in Portland, Oregon. I've been there since 2006, and originally a Midwesterner, but I'm actually a dual citizen, both of Germany and also America. And so we got into kind of the off-road industry via my husband and myself. We moved from Wisconsin and Minnesota out to Oregon. And in 2006, he got a job at Warren Industries and started doing a lot of the off-road and kind of overlanding events. And I planned all of my paid time off and just tried to plan everything around it because we love to travel and we love to meet new people. And that was very important to us. And so I sat a lot of times as passenger as they did all sorts of different crazy trails, you know, whether it's in Moab or in Uray, Colorado, or in Oregon, you know, whether it's high desert or out on the coast range, that kind of things up in the mountains, and loved it. And so I just recently gave up my corporate life of almost 20 years in April and decided to do full-time freelance.
So tell us about the rally. How are you connected with that? And just give us some background information.
So the Rebelle Rally is a women's navigational challenge that takes you from Lake Tahoe to San Diego, where you have to collect as many checkpoints as possible to win. It's held by, it's the creation of Emily Miller, and Emily Miller is she's a professional driver, has a lot of successful off-road stories and professional driving stories. And so she's a really phenomenal woman. And so it's really nice to get together with all of these other teams of really also phenomenal women and participate in this event and get to do something that is actually really unique. There's not a lot of events like this.
Okay. Like how many miles is it?
Over
It's a few thousand kilometers. So
yeah,
it's a lot. It's 10 days. Is it 8 or 9 days driving, I believe. So it's pretty severe. So it's literally the two of us and one truck. And so we'll be using their rig, Bomber Products rig.
Yeah.
And we'll be using that. And so, it's literally the two of us and whatever food that we want to have for snacks and whatnot. And they supply food and our rig, and we go out there for however many hours it is for the day.
And the most notable thing about this challenge is that there is no GPS allowed. It's all analog navigation, so all map and compass.
Okay, cool. So as the navigator, is that a skill set you've already got, or what are you doing to train and prepare for that? So you hopefully stay on track.
So I still have a lot of practicing to do, but I have a background in GIS, which is geographic information. So I do have a lot of experience working with maps. And so basically kind of putting that together with my background in hiking and backcountry navigation, turning that into orienteering in a vehicle as opposed to on foot. Yeah, that's the winning combo for me.
Okay. And Mercedes, what about you in the driving portion of this challenge?
Being part of Warren and being part of crankshaft culture and being, in a lot of different off-road vehicles, various types, right? So anything from the Teal Terror, aka our Suzuki Sidekick that we owned many years back, to a Jeep Cherokee, to JK, to now JL, to, right-hand drive crazy Mitsubishi diesels that we both own two of, and using that. So I've spent a lot of time as a navigator myself, but with a GPS or with technology type of navigator. But I've been in a lot of different vehicles doing a lot of the off-roading. So now it's my turn being the driver, being in the other side. Super stoked to be able to have Elise and I partner myself. And a quick sidebar, funny story. So, when I left my job in April 17th of 2018, so just a couple months ago, I texted her. I said, Elise, I did it. I finally quit and I'm going out full-time freelance. I got like a one-liner back. She's like, now you have no excuse to do the Rebelle, or to not do the Rebelle. Yeah. And so she's been like working on me to, be the driver of whatever rig we were going to procure right at that time. And so I said, you know what? Yep, I'm in. So that's how we partnered up. And, we've been friends at different rallies and whatnot ever since. So
I think we met
at
this rally
how many years ago? Yeah,
2 years ago.
Yep.
Okay. So how does the rally work? Like, are you guys able to swap positions? Or are there rules involved that say you can't?
Nope. Okay. You can do whatever you could swap for a day, for an hour, whatever you need to do to be comfortable. And so some teams do not have assigned roles just based on their comfort zones, and some stick to it, the whole way through.
And I think the big part of it is for at least for the two of us, and I'm sure with a lot of the other Rebelles, is making sure that you have a basic understanding of each other's roles, right? So myself as a driver, we both know stick shift, right? We're going to be driving probably a very rare, if maybe the only manual transmission vehicle there. But with that being said, we both need to know each other's roles. So let's say if she gets sick or she gets injured or she just is, stressed and needs to have a moment, I need to make sure to take the bearing to figure out where things are and have a basic understanding to help her, and also for me, if I have issues or if something happens or whatnot, that she can actually drive the rig and get us out of a situation too. So,
and are there time points where you can't get to the next check station either too early or too late, or is it just get there as fast as you can?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great question.
There are some time challenges, and so where you need to be very accurate in your timing as well as your navigation.
How do you do that?
Carefully. So you use the tools at your disposal. So lots of timers.
Okay. Like for each checkpoint or distance?
Yeah, so you want to have a good odometer. So a lot of the teams will actually get TerraTrip rally computers, which are a more accurate odometer with a lot more functions to be able to track your distance better, as well as your time better.
Okay, is that something the two of you are going to have?
Yes, that is something we're going to have.
That's the plan anyways,
yeah. Okay. We're looking to get one.
Give us a little broader view. I've got the navigation component.
Yep.
I've got the timing component. What other skill sets do you need to have to complete the Rebelle Rally?
So we need to be good drivers. If we get stuck, if we get into a sticky situation, we need to have the ability to get out, whether that's recovery tools, recovery know-how,
right gear.
Also just keeping our cool and having the endurance to be able to stay calm and be creative.
Inventive. Yes.
Yeah.
Creative, yeah, right.
Right. Problem solving, even in, after a really long day, that's really important. And that's, you have to have the stamina and you have to have the knowledge and the ability.
Well, and and to add to that too is you have to be great partners, right? So you can be the best of friends and be the worst in a rig together, right? If you're under stressful situations and you've been, driving all day and you're stuck and you're lost and you don't know because you don't have any technology, you only have each other in maps and rulers in a rig, right? You need to understand how each other ticks, so to speak, right? So what sets her off? What sets me off? How can we mitigate those types of challenges and be able to communicate through those? So not only is it a traditional navigational race for the Rebelle Rally, is how can you work with each other as a team of two with your vehicle. So it's kind of a team of three, but it's all literally your tools, your heart, your soul, sweat and tears, your endurance as far as digging yourselves up, if you get stuck in the sand dunes, all that kind of thing. So it's a multifaceted approach as to how you can conquer your personal goals and be able to do it right and as best as you can in the time allotted and be successful.
Okay, very good. So, what does the end of the day look like? Are you camping? Do you have to bring all your food? Are you stopping at a Ritz-Carlton? What's the deal?
Food is provided.
Depends on if you're covered with dirt and mud.
So we are camping. We have a base camp area where we all bring our own camping gear and camp at the base camp. They have a Michelin-starred chef, so they do provide the food. So there's a little bit of a luxury item there. Totally don't have to stress about your food, which is nice. So it's a little bit of that rough and luxury camping kind of mixed together. There is one night where you are camping on your own. It's called the marathon stage, where you basically it's a 2-day version of a day, and you camp out of your rig by yourselves in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, very good. Is that something that you've done before?
Oh yeah, so that's what that's how we got in the overland industry in the first place. We love to camp where there's nobody else. We love to go, where there's no one.
Primitive camping,
right?
Yeah, there's no electricity, no ice cubes to buy, no
camp fees. We just
no camp fees. Yeah, good.
We just look at a map, figure out where it might have a really cool view, and then go camp there by ourselves, away from everybody else. So that's something that we are very familiar with.
And to make sure that you have a vehicle, no matter how crazy built up the vehicle is or how not it is, but the vehicle to be able to get you to where said point is that you want to go to. Yeah, that's important.
What kind of terrain are you guys expecting?
So because it's taking place from Lake Tahoe to San Diego, that's in a lot of California. So a lot of sort of desert roads, and then there is also a section that it takes place in the Glamis sand dunes. Sand dunes.
Save the best for last.
Right. And I think that's probably the trickiest part.
I haven't been there. Have you been there?
No.
Glamis? So neither of us have been there. I understand that they're super huge, super crazy, and a lot of people get stuck. Yeah. So all the research that I've done and all the tips that people have given me so far as a driver have said, practice, the sand, and you will hate sand to, the day you die, but you are needing, that's the most critical point.
In fact, I was just talking earlier with some folks who were volunteers at the last 2 rallies, and that's what they said was the sand is what gets people, is because it's hard to practice. The roads in Montana, where I'm from, there's lots of rocks, there's lots of dirt, there's lots of, steep hills, all snow, all kinds of stuff. There's no sand.
Yeah. So that'll be new for you, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, and as far as Oregon, so my husband and myself live in Portland, Oregon, and so we're lucky in the fact that we've got a couple of different sand dunes within a few hours of us. So the closest to us from Portland, Oregon is just south of Tillamook on the Oregon coast. It's an area called Sand Lake, and it's the smaller set of sand dunes that are on the Oregon coast. Florence and Winchester Bay is the real big ones. But those are also pretty dangerous too if you don't know what you're doing. But they're also, I think, 3 to 4 or 5 hours away from us.
So it's lucky that you have a few nearby, so you can practice as a driver.
Sand Lake is the biggest one, and mind you, Elise has got the rig, right? So she's got the Tacoma over there. So I need to practice, right? So the biggest thing for us is we've got a right-hand drive 1992 Mitsubishi Pajero, a diesel 4x4, and so we've been taking that out. And so any waking moment that we have, we're driving out to the dunes and be able to practice that. that come heck or high water, no pun intended because it's on the Oregon coast, and the ocean comes in or not because you can drive on the beach there. The biggest thing for us is even though it's a right-hand drive, it's still manual, right? And that's all we drive. We have 4 vehicles. They're all manuals. So I'm expert, very good at, manuals, whether, it's left or right-hand drive shifting. But we take that out to practice and prep for the Rebelle Rally. To be able to pack all your recovery gear, your max tracks, of course we've got the winch and whatnot, and be able to have that, but still be able to drive out and have a good solid day out there. So it's still a long trek and a dedicated trek, right? So if you're working full-time, you've put in, 40, 50, 60, 80, depends, because right now for us it's been really busy, but to be able to have that dedicated time to do that in order to prep for the Rebelle.
Super fascinating. So what other skill sets are going to go into this for you? We've talked about the navigation, we've talked about the driving, personality, so you guys have to get along, right?
Yeah.
What other skill sets are you practicing, and is it going to take for you to be successful in the Rebelle Rally?
Well, one of those things is recovery skills. So how to get out of a sticky situation, not just as far as getting along as a team, but also I've been very fortunate to get the chance to practice using a winch, using high lift, using all those straps, max tracks, anything in a recovery kit that might come in handy in the sand dunes, that might come in handy, if something breaks down. Being comfortable working on your vehicle is a really good idea because there are mechanics, but you really don't want to be having to call them in until the end of the day, because if they have to come get you, you do lose points or get disqualified. Yeah.
Well, and I think the biggest thing for me as well, in addition to all of that, is trying to time things. As being myself, Mercedes in Portland, Oregon, and Elise is in Bozeman, Montana. We're not right, next door neighbors. So the biggest thing for us is how can we spend quality time, whether it's on the phone, whether it's email or texting, which we do a lot, texting and email especially. But how can we find time together? So we've known each other with a lot of these off-road events or rally events, but we don't know each other, right? So we do a lot of different shows with her and her husband Josh that run Bomber products, or myself, helping out Warren or covering his media for different outlets. Because again, I'm freelance, or Crankshaft Culture, which is our own outlet, doing that kind of things. We had the chance to be able to do after Overland Expo West, which was down in Arizona at the end of May. There's a 2-day clinic, so it's called the Rebelle Rally U for University. So Elise was able to get us in as a team to be able to do that 2-day training. That was in Arizona at the Cinder Hills OHV area, which is pretty cool. So that was literally our first time being like, all right, I'm the driver. I love your rig. And thank you so much, by the way, for me being able to use this. But for us to be able to get in the rig, the two of us, and do some serious training, right? So whether it's, navigation and trying to learn the ropes and trying to figure out how's this going to work, and crab walking on the side of these cinder hills that are all volcanic, crazy particulates like pebbles, but to simulate the soft sands of Glamis and to try to figure that out and how to mitigate stress. So it's such a huge, eye-opener for me in how we interact. Yeah. I learned a ton that trip. And then I ended up, after that clinic, I rode with her back to Bozeman so that we had, even though it was tarmac time, we rode back together, and I stayed with them. We, tooled around the Montana mountains near Bozeman, which is awesome, by the way. Did that a bit too, so that we had some more time together to know each other outside of, hey, how's it going? How's your shop? How's this? The usual speak at rallies, and to be able to have more serious time. And then I flew back to Portland from there.
Okay, cool. So what's the overall message of the Rebelle Rally? If we took it to the 30,000 foot level, what's the goal of the organization?
It's all about empowering women. It's, this industry doesn't have a lot of women involved in it, but they're a huge part of the buying process. They're out here all the time. And so it's all about getting them more involved, getting them more confident in, driving, navigating adventures, just in life in general. Because I think that's something that, I know I benefited a lot from, because let's be honest, Josh is the one who's passionate about off-roading, who's been passionate about off-roading for longer, and it's relatively new to me. And so it was very intimidating to kind of be brought into that world and be like, hey, if I want to drive, well, how do I even start, right? So it's
everybody's
really
gonna start from somewhere.
Yeah. And so it's really nice having Emily Miller and all of these other women just kind of being role models and leaders, and not just putting on the Rebelle Rally itself, but all these other classes that are open to the public. And so you can, improve your skills and improve your confidence, so you can go out and do all of these adventures with everybody.
And and to add to that, I think a lot of it is the Rebelle and the camaraderie and people helping you and strong women and confident women. Everybody starts from somewhere. I keep saying that. It's just like everybody starts. I mean, heck, we didn't even own a 4x4 when we were in Wisconsin. We're like, well, and you got a job at Warren. We're like, well, okay, let's throw our hat in the ring, and we bought a Suzuki Sidekick that was totally used and abused, but it ran well, and that's our first foray in a 4x4, right? And I think the Rebelle Rally, the spirit is such a huge key. I've met so many people that just recently befriended me on Facebook, and they don't know me, I don't know them, but they're all part of the Rebelle Rally. They're here to help, even though they're potential. A lot of them are competitors.
That's the cool thing.
They're helping. It's fostering. It's let's do this together. And mind you, it's no technology. They take away your phones. They take away Wi-Fi enabled, any computers or things like that. So they take all that stuff away.
Even the cameras.
Oh yeah.
GPS on it, it's gone.
There's no cheating.
You can't have a huge zoom lens on it either. So
you can't use it
because you could try
training.
to range out, and you could try to zoom in to see where checkpoints are. So because some of them have flags, so there's green, blue, and black flags, right? So green is the easiest. They're all mandatory, but they have huge flags. The blue, as far as checkpoints to find, are very small flags, but they still are noted. Yeah. So you have to find them. Blacks, nothing. So they take all the stuff away.
Right there,
right?
right?
You need to guess it and hit your little checker thing, your tracker, and just be like, all right, let's pray.
I think this is
there
it.
you go.
Okay, so that's interesting. So they give you a little tracker thing.
Yes.
So when you get to where you think you're supposed to be, whether it be a flag or nothing, you hit that, it logs your position, and then you either get the points or you don't.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And I think as far as it's
like a bullseye.
It's like a bullseye. So is it just for blacks? Or I'm not. It's a bullseye. I think it's just for black. So if you're way out, but you're kind of within the range, it's a lesser amount of points. And if you're dead nuts right on it, you get the maximum amount of points. Yeah.
Interesting. So how do you guys feel as women in the overlanding industry? Have you felt very welcomed, or are there challenges there?
Good question.
I have felt very welcomed, but it's hard because I think that it's difficult to get the knowledge. I think people kind of assume, you're in or you're out. Either you know it or you don't. And so one of the things that's been great is meeting a lot of these women. I've actually had the opportunity to learn more. But overwhelmingly, my experience has been great. Everyone that I've met has been super, super excited about, my involvement in the industry and my involvement with the Rebelle Rally. It's been really amazing seeing all the support. And so I think that, women in the overland industry, it's growing and it's awesome. And I think people are really excited about it.
They're starting to take note. And I think that's the biggest thing. And, as far as us with the Rebelle Rally this year, so we're known as Team Free Range Dames. So that was the name that we came up with.
We should have got that earlier, sorry.
We're known as
That's
Team
good.
Free Range Dames. And so we've been very actively setting up all the social media. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have our website, www.teamfreerangedames.com. We also have a GoFundMe account. So Elise and myself are self-funded. So we're not sponsored by anybody or anything. So we are actively looking if anybody wants to support or just say, shout out or whatnot. So it's either Elise at teamfreerangedames.com or Mercedes at teamfreerangedames.com. So it's not an inexpensive race or rally, I should say rally or competition by any
It's
means.
very
It's
pricey.
very expensive. But, you know, a lot of it is grassroots effort, right? You know, and you never know who's willing to celebrate strong women and to support and to showcase people that are just like, you know what, I'm going to go, pardon my language, balls to the walls and just, you know, or just be really excited and try their best, right? As I keep saying, everybody starts from somewhere. And I think for me, you know, it's been very welcoming, you know, as far as being in the industry and helping. And that's one of the reasons that I gave up my really luxury, you know, full-time job being in corporate and just saying, you know what, I love this industry so much and I want to make it a full-time go. Because there's so many cool people. There's so many cool adventures. There's so many things to do and so many, you know, places to see. And I think that was so important for me. And, you know, you do have some people that are like, oh, you're a woman, whatever, you know, and they dismiss you automatically because you're a woman and they don't care. And you can say, I know some of this stuff. I know this, and this, and they won't care. You'll always have that segment, but you'll always have doubters no matter what industry you're in, who you are, any of that kind of thing.
And those people are gone away. Like, that's not nearly as common as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I've been really impressed with, you know, if I know something, people know I know something.
They'll know, you know, and we both have a lot still to learn. Everybody's got a lot to learn, right? You know, you could be a veteran, like my husband's been in the off-road industry for, since 2006, so at least 12 years. He still has a ton to learn. Everybody does. Again, everybody starts from somewhere, and there's always somebody that's going to know more than you, right? Yep. So I think celebrating, whether you're man, woman, whatever, you know, it's just anything. Celebrating who you are, what you know, and sharing the knowledge. I think that's the big thing, is just sharing the knowledge, and I think that goes to the whole community thing that we keep saying is the Rebelle Rally. Yeah. You're talking to your competitors that are giving you tips and tricks, saying, hey, check this out. I've done this. This works. Try this pencil, like, you know, a 0.3 versus a 0.5 because it's too fat and blah, 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 you know.
It's been great, actually.
It's awesome.
We've gotten so much help from all the other people that are in the challenge even this year. Cool. So I look forward to kind of keep that going.
Oh, yeah. Right there.
Keep that going during the race.
And even my limited knowledge of the Rebelle Rally, what I do know, anytime I heard, like, when you came over and talked to me, I have so much respect for the ability to navigate and to be able to do that without any electronics.
If you don't have your TomTom, right? Well, if you don't have your Garmin or your TomTom or a guy or somebody to tell you where to go, that's a whole nother ballgame, man. And I got a lot of respect for that. So,
any specific tools that you're using with navigation? So do they give you the maps, or do you have to source those yourself?
They give you the maps. So the maps are provided. What I'm bringing is my compass, obviously, and Map Tools actually makes some really good map rulers that are really nice for plotting the points. So they give you the GPS coordinates, and then you take those coordinates and you plot them on the map. After that, I mean, you kind of use your highlighters or whatever to kind of plot your route. But mostly just a compass and some rulers, some pencils.
Any specific compass? You got a lot of metal around you, so it's going to kind of throw you off, right?
So you don't want to skimp, but really, you know, any good quality compass that has a mirror is really nice. It makes it a lot easier to take a heading when you have a mirror, and that has a clear base plate so you can use it on your map as well.
Well, and she's got hers. Is it a Brunton?
It's a Brunton.
And so I bought a Cento. So we have different competitors as far as, you know, compasses. But it was funny the other day. I was digging through all of my old school drafting supplies because my actual expertise, my background as a trade is interior design and construction. So I'm sending her texts of all different kinds of photos, being like, hey, I've got my straight edge. I've got, you know, all different kinds of rulers. I've got, you know, right triangles that are clear, that I'm thinking of what can we use for the Rebelle Rally. And mind you, they're 20 years old. So I'm sending her tons of things, just being like, I got this, you know, 20 different things. What, you know, my old drafting tools too.
But you really don't need more than a compass, a ruler, and a pencil.
Okay, very good.
Maybe multiples of those in case one like slides down underneath the seat. Because we hear you lose rulers and you lose that kind of stuff a lot. And if this slides under, you have to stop and you waste time to try to dig it out and find it. And so,
all the rest is really just organization and how you work.
Well, and as far as the driver's aspect of it, so that's the navigational aspect of it. But for a driver's aspect, we're lucky in the fact that Elise and myself, Mercedes, are in the off-road industry, right? So we've got a lot of recovery gear. So, they got a worn winch on the front. We've got, max tracks in the back. We've got a spare tire. We've got a lot of the different things. So we've got recovery kits. Oh my God, we probably have like tons of different things, just the two of us together. So, which is great. So we have a lot of that. It's the other things is just, being able to figure out, all right, how can we raise the rest of the funds to be able to do this, since this is a grassroots effort. And a lot of it is, a lot of the teams are like that too. It's not it's not an inexpensive rally to be able to enter and do this, but we just literally today got our official email, so we are entered. We have our numbers. Our numbers are 179, so 179.
Does that feel good?
Feels really good.
Oh,
it feels really good.
We're super stoked. So we're actively looking. So we're going to be designing a logo next. So we're actually going to have a graphic logo. Yeah. We're going to rewrap our vehicle.
Yep. The truck is going to have a wrap on it, but yeah, that's kind of where one of the things that is open to anybody who's interested is if they want their company on the wrap.
Yes. As far as sponsorship.
They better speak up quick.
They better, they better get on it.
We don't have much time.
Right.
And the big thing too is we're looking, once we have the logo and we have our identity really procured and designed out, which will happen in the next few weeks, very short weeks, if not like several days, because, we're stepping on it. But that being said is to be able to see, can we make stickers, hats, and t-shirts, things like that, some swag, so people can say, all right, I want to buy this, and, X amount of donation can maybe get XYZ or things like that, and be able to partner up in different and inventive ways. So it's not all about, hey, give us money. It totally is not about that. It's what can we do for you? How can we partner for you to be able to say, we've got unmarked, royalty-free photos, but to be able to do that, we can write up content because we're both writers, freelance writers, and we can be able to share this, or we can do, really great high-end photos, high-res photos, things like that. What can we do so that XYZ company or entity or person, if they were wishing to donate for us and help us on our journey, what can we do for them? So we want this to be a two-way street and a partnership for them in addition for them for us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can you give me like an example of that? So let's get into the funding piece and how people can help you out. What does that look like? They're either going to donate cash, right? Or they're going to be a sponsor and have their logo on your wrap or something else. What are the other ways, the inventive ways, the creative ways that people might be able to get involved with the two of you?
So a couple of people have said, I don't necessarily have the cash, but A, I have the time, or B, I have the expertise. So we've got some friends of ours that said, hey, you know what? I teach a lot of wilderness preparedness or winching or recovery or things like that. But they don't necessarily have a ton of money. So for instance, if you have something, whether it's even jewelry making, we've got a friend of ours that, that does like, that cosmetic jewelry, things like that. What about maybe hosting a class and just saying, hey, $10 a head or $20 a head, or, an all-day trail trip somewhere or whatnot, and just charging per head and saying, this will be going to Elise and Mercedes for
so they can
donation.
Help raise money with some sort of an event or a skill set like jewelry, so they can make some jewelry, sell it.
Or even like bake sales. Or,
there you go.
Or even like, some people said, hey, we're willing to be able to, donate product, but we can't necessarily do money. We're looking into maybe we can do like an online raffle or an auction or something like that, and say, hey, whether it's wine or recovery straps or whatever, or, shirts or jewelry, whatever.
So pretty limitless on what people might be able to do to help you out.
We would love for people to email us and for us to be able to partner so that we can highlight them as much as they highlight us.
Oh, yeah.
Total partnership.
And honestly, one of the simplest things that people can do is just to help us share our story and help us kind of get the word out there that we're doing this. Yep.
Can you give us an idea of what that cost is? Like, how much money are you trying to raise still?
So our total goal is $18,000. We have $4,500 raised so far.
So anything else that we've not talked about today pertaining that story for the two of you for free-range dames, that is totally awesome. That we can help.
And I think the biggest thing is if you're wanting to help, we, any donation, whether it's product or sponsorship or money or any of those kinds of things, or just even time, is any donation to help us and to be able to have us highlight them, no matter how large or small, is super important.
That's great. So anything else our listeners should know about Free Range Dames or the Rebelle Rally?
Good question.
No, but that's probably the basics. So yeah, it's in October, so it's coming up pretty quick here.
Yeah.
But we still have a lot of time to, hit the.
We have the time.
Yeah.
I think if your listeners are interested, if they want to donate or if they want to help or if they want to talk to us, sooner than later, for sure.
Yeah.
It's the end of June right now with the Northwest Overland Rally. If they want to approach us, email us, call us, whatever, we're out there. Contact us sooner than later, and then that way we have a chance to plan, to talk, to figure things out before August and September, because that'll fly by. We're going to be very, very busy, and we've got a lot to do. So.
Okay, very good. Thanks, ladies. It's been great talking to you.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
This has been great.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
I'm so impressed with these two women. Thank you so much for joining us at the Northwest Overland Rally. Now, be sure to visit Team Free Range Dames on their website or find the link with all their info on our show notes page at ghteoverland.com. Click on podcasts, select the Team Free Range Dames episode. Have a great week, and we will see you next Thursday for another amazing episode of the GHT Overland Podcast. Bye.